So in blog, like what are the things we are going to do is we are going to handle like creating a blog, creating a user, authentication and authorization, along with like all the CRUD operation. Okay, like in authentication authorization only, in CRUD operations also coming to picture. Okay, all the things we are going to handle in this particular. So let's start a project. The first command will be npm init. The package name will be block, the same application what we are going to create. Next, the version is 1, description not required. Entry point will be the index.js file. Next, test command not required, repository not required, keyword, all other things are same. Okay, so once you click enter, you are going to get that particular package file. Okay, next I'm going to create the main starting file, that is index.js. So after creating index.js file, let's install all the packages which are required for this application. And create and git ignore. In the meanwhile, let's add .env to git ignore. Okay, so you can see I have installed all the packages. Okay, so we have installed cookie parser, cards.env, express. Next, what I need to do, I need to start a server whenever I saved certain things. Correct. So I'm going to write a start script. So start script will be nodemon index.js.
nodejs.
Okay. So I'm going to save it. Okay. So write type. In the type, give a module.js. So I think that's enough for this one, package.json file. If anything is there, we can come back again. Okay. So let's come to index.js. Okay, so first what I'll do, I'll import all the things. So import express from express. Okay, next import parser. Okay, I'll mention it like this, cookie parser from cookie parser. Import cars from cars. Next import mongos. Import mongos from mongos. Okay, so what are the other things we left? Oh, we left with env. So import dot env from dot env. Express cookie parser cars mongoose dot env. I think these are all enough. Next, what you need to do? So let's create a dot env file. Okay, port, and we are going to work with port 5000. Okay, and no need to close it. So next, what I'm going to do, you need to configure that particular .env file. Okay, which means if you want to use the .env in your application, you need to configure it. Okay, so how to do config? So .env dot config. Okay, and you need to call it. Okay, that's enough. So our .env, now we can use the .env in our application. Now let's start our server. Okay, before starting it, let's keep the express to, or let's add our express function to keyword app. Okay, next I'll import the port. So const port is equal to, so how to import anything from env file is you need to use process keyword, process.env.port. Okay, if you are getting the port from env file, then it is going to run in 5000 or run by default in 5000 port. Okay, next what I'll do, I'll connect mongodb. Okay, so mongos dot set in this particular set, the strict query will be false. Okay, we all already use the strict query, correct? So strict query will be false. Next, before we writing the code of MongoDB connection, what I'll do, I'll create the data. Click on this drop down, click on new project. Okay, once you click on your project, you are going to get a sum menu. Just wait for, yeah, you got the menu. So first give the project name. In our case, we are using blog application. So I'm giving the project name as blog. Next, let's click on next. Next, click on create project. If you want to add new members, add it over here. So for time being, you can ignore it. Owner will be you only have already added. So click on create project. Once you create a project, it is going to create a project in your database. Okay, you have not created a database till now. You have just created a project. Okay, so now what you need to do, you need to create a cluster first. So click on create cluster, like plus mark you got here, right? So you click on that one. Okay, so now you need to select which tier you want to work in cluster. So in my case, you want to work in M0. So I'll click on this free service. Next, cluster name will be 0. No need to alter anything. So keep it the same. Next, a provider. If you want to have a different provider, you can select it. In my case, AWS, it's fine. Region is fine. Tags are not required. So click on create deployment. Okay, once you click on create deployment, your cluster has been created now. So now what you need to do, it is going to ask at least add one user to work with cluster. Okay, so in my case, the username can be same. Just change the password. Okay, so password can be anything. You can make the password in whatever you require. Okay, so I'll just give it as password as a block so that it would be easier for me to remember, and I'll close it. Okay, so your database has been created now. So now you need to link your database to your server, correct? So what you can do, you can see here we are getting drivers. So click on this one. You are going to get this particular URL. Okay, so copy this URL, come to your code. Inside a env file, you write it. Okay, so mongo URI, that particular URL what you have been copied, you enter that URL. Okay, so our database has, and I have pasted that particular link. So you click on database. So database connection has been successfully done, and collection we have been not yet created. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create collections now. So before we going to create a collection, we need to write the code to connect database, correct? Which means we have not started our server yet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create, or I'm going to connect the server now. So first create one function. So const connect db, make it as an asynchronous function just to handle the errors. Okay, so inside this try block, you write await mongoose.connect. In this one, you import or you give the URI what you have given for MongoDB. Okay, so process.env.mongo URI, the URL name. Okay. Okay, so well, sometimes you may get some error. So I'll write this one once you get the error. Okay, for time being, you can ignore this. So, and console something so that you can understand your server, sorry, your database has been connected or not. Just to check, you write something. So what I'm going to do, database has connection successful. Connection established. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so if the database connection successful, then we are supposed to get this message else. Okay, if you get any error, you write that particular error now. So console dot log out db connection error. Okay, so we are going to get that particular error over here. Closed it, closed it. Next, what you need to do, you need to start your server. So to starting a server, first call the function connect db, the function which we started here, right? So you call that particular function first. Connect db dot, then So insert this, then you create a callback app dot listen. Where we are listening? We are listening on port. Correct, this port. So we are listening on this particular port and also handle the error over here. So console.log of server is listening on port. Okay. So dot then is done here and closed here. Yeah. Catch is not required, or you mention catch as well. So if you are getting error, so you console the error. Console.log of that particular error. Getting the, I'll mention it here. Insert the. Okay. Let's start our server. So we are already inside a block npm start. So our server started, like our server is starting. Just give few seconds so that it can be connected. So our server is running, like the database connection is also like established properly, and server is also running fine. Okay. So next, what I'll do, for time being, we will not write any controller. First, I'll start with the models. Okay. Block schema. Okay. One more schema I required is user schema. Okay. So let's start with a blog only. Import mongoose from mongoose. Const, give some name to your schema. Same thing. I'll give the same thing instead of giving some other name. So blog schema new mongoose.schema. And this should be uppercase. CHEMA. Insert this one. Inside object, you will have all the properties. Are going to get the object. And why I'm getting prettier error? Okay, fine. Whatever the error may be, we will solve it in next. Okay. So we want to have one more thing. Who has created the blog, right? Whenever you want to create a blog, you want to know who is the author as well. First I'll create user schema. Okay. So in user schema, first thing what you need to do, same thing. Okay. Or what? Yeah. Let's start with importing mongo. Next, const user schema mongoose dot schema. Insert this one, you pass an object. So first is email of a user. Okay. So type will be same, string. Okay. Next, let's go to the block schema. Now we need to have a reference, correct? Like the user or author reference. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create that particular reference, like the reference of block to user. So why we need to create? Whenever user or whenever new mail ID create a block, you need to tell to your database that okay, this particular user has been created a blog. Okay, or you need to handle the authorization before storing certain things, correct? So that's why we are going to connect it. So how to connect? Give a property user, or you can give it as auth also. Both will be fine. So give an id, type will be mongoose dot schema schema dot types dot object id. Object id. Okay, so create a ref. So inside ref, you copy paste the schema name. Okay, in our case, that's the user schema. You paste it like this. Next, required will be true. All other things are same. Like a required will be true. Okay, and add the name property as well. Name type will be string. Required will be true. Okay, so now what you need to do? You need to export it. Export it now. So export default mongoose dot model. So what are the two things? One is what is the schema name? In our case, it is a block schema. And what is the schema we need to pass? It is a this particular variable block schema. Yes. Okay, it is giving error for this mongoose. And it could be same over here as well. So come to terminal. Did I did same thing here as well? No, it is correct. Save it. Save it. Okay, so what we did now, we have created, I sorry, here we have created block schema. So inside a block schema, what we need is whenever user created new blocks, okay, we need to tell our schema to store that user detail along with block. Okay, instead of storing separately or instead of storing this block in user, what we are doing is we are storing the user in block data. Okay, to how to collect or how to collect that particular user data in a blog is with the help of object id types, which is provided by mongoose. Okay, so this object id is available whenever you create a new user. Like whenever you create a new user, this object id is going to create by default. Okay, so you are accessing that object id with the help of reference keyword. Ref means reference. So what is this ref is going to do is ref is going to collect the user details which is available in user schema. What we can do is let's start with like I'll create both the folders. Okay. Mm. What are the folders we require? Controller. I'll create a controller. So controller is done. Let's have one more folder. Routes. UTS. Okay. So inside a routes, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to create a user route. So user dot js. So what are the things we required is first I'll import import express from an express. Next const router press dot router, and this should be uppercase R. And the last thing is export default, not function, it is router. This router I'm going to export. Okay, so first thing is you need to register new user. So if you want to register new user, what is the method? Post. Give a path that is register I'll give it as register user, and controller we need to create it now. So what I'll do, I'll make this one as async function. Async try catch. So whenever you want to register new user, what are the things we require? So const email, like I'm destructuring over here. Okay, password, name, phone. Okay, I'll add role as well. Okay, but from user I don't send it. Okay, how we are going to get this particular all this field? What I need to do? Request dot body app dot use cookie parser. Next, we need to register the routing. So I'll register it now. So default path, that is slash API slash v1 slash auth. Okay. So which means what is this particular default path means whenever you are in this register user. Okay. So how this particular register user route is going to look is you have post request, correct? So post, how this particular register user is going to look is copy it slash register user. Okay, so this is the route. So if you have localhost 5000, how it is going to look? HTTP. Sorry, HTTP. I forward this one. Wait. Okay, so this is how your route will look like now. Okay, so in this particular route, the API slash v1 slash auth is the default route. Okay, whenever you are handling the authentication, you are supposed to run through this particular route on. That's it. Next parameter will be I'll import it as auth route. Okay, so I need to import that particular route. So import auth route from where we need to import routes slash auth. Okay, so if you go to auth route, you are going to get this particular router. Okay, understood? In the place of router over here, you give it as auth route. Whatever the route you have imported, you give that particular route over here. That is localhost 5000. Where is this route auth? Copy this one and paste it over here. Okay, if you click on send, it is like I'm doing get request. So we need to do post request. Sorry, I forgot. So do the send. Once you click a send, like you can see it is like in a running state. Correct. It is not doing anything. If you go to a server, here you can see we are getting all the things undefined. Correct. Undefined, 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 undefined. So from where I'm getting this undefined? From auth controller. I'm consoling here. Email is undefined, password is undefined, name, phone number, and role is undefined. So why I'm getting these things as undefined? Yes. So we are doing the post request, correct? So we are doing the post request. So if you want to do the post request, you need to send the data, correct? If you're doing the get request, you are getting the data. So at that case, you no need to send anything. But if you are doing a post request, you need to send the data to somewhere. Going to send it in a format of raw, and in raw we are going to send it in JSON format. Okay, we need to have the properties. You copy entire property, you come to your post and you paste it over here. We need email, it will be in the string. I will give it as test at gmail.com. Next, password, click enter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Give next name. I'll give it as test name. Phone. Phone will be in the number format. Role is not required. Okay. What I mean, I'll ignore the role. Beautiful. Okay. So what are the things I'm sending? I'm sending email, I'm sending password, I'm sending name, and I'm sending phone number. Now you do the post request. You click on send. Once you click on send, the action is not happening because we have not written anything. But inside a console, you can see we are getting the email, password, name, and phone number. Okay, roll number it doesn't require. Okay, so we are just requesting or we are accessing all the data now. One variable. So let user. Okay. So next, what you can do is user equals. What do you need to do now? New user. Correct. So insert this new user. What are the things you need to pass? Okay. Email, password, name, phone number, role. Next, what you need to do? You have just created a new instance here. Now you need to save it. So how to save it? User dot save. There are certain things you need to remember. It is an asynchronous operation, correct? So you need to wait to complete to get that particular user data as well. Okay. If you don't use async await, what happens is you will not get all these values sometimes. Like if you have a network error or if you have a server error, in that case, you don't get these values. From here, you don't get these values. So you wait to get that value, then you execute this particular save method. So once you set it, what you can do, you can send this data. So response dot status JSON. Success is true. Message is user registered successfully. User save successfully. Next, after you did this one, you need to handle the error as well. Okay, I'll handle the error. I'll copy the same thing. Status is 500. Success is false. Internal server error. So now let's check whether it is working fine or not. Before that, let's wait to, yeah, server is connected, database also connected. So this is our request. Correct. Now click send again. Once you click send, you can see we are getting success is true. Message is user saved successfully. Correct. Now go to database, click over here. So in an user collection, you just refresh it. Once you refresh, here you can see we are getting that particular user data. Like email is you are getting the password, you are getting the name, phone number, and here you can see although we have not passed role over here, okay, although we have not passed role, the role we got is user. Okay, the default role what we have entered, we are getting that particular role over here. So now let's check whether the user is already available in database or not. So you already have a user, correct? So for this user, you find it. So await user dot find one. So inside this one, you pass the email as the email you are getting over here. What is the email you are getting, correct? So you pass that email over here. So once you get the value, if you get the user, you are going to do something. If you don't get the user, you're supposed to register the new user. Like if you are like with the help of find method, sorry, with the help of find one method, if you don't get the email, you are going to register new user. This is correct. If you get the user, which means the output what you are finding from the find method, like from find one method, if you get the output as true, what you need to do? You need to return to the server that saying this user is already exist, correct? So what is the status code? 400. Success is false or success is not required. Okay, I'll make it as false. Success is false. User already registered. Already registered. So go to your postman and try to send it one more time. So once you send this particular request one more time, here you can see success is false and user already exists in database. Correct. So our checking, like the checking for email is working fine. So go to Google and search for npm bycrypt. npm bcrypt. Okay, you need this particular package. Remember what is this particular package is going to do? It is going to store the password safely. First, I'll start with salting on salt await bcrypt dot bcrypt dot gensalt. Next, what you need to do? You need to hash the password using this particular gensalt. So create const password hash is equal to await bcrypt bcrypt dot hash. Inside this hash, you are going to hash. You are going to hash your password. The password what you are getting over here, right? So this password you are going to hash this particular password, and after that you need to tell how many times you need to salt it. So give the salt. Okay. So hash is going to take two parameter. One is what data you want to hash. In our case, we want to hash a password, and second parameter is how many rounds you need to hash it. Okay. In our case, how many rounds we are hashing? We are hashing 10 times. Okay, after you hash the password, so now you are hashing it over here only. Okay, you are requesting, like you are getting the password from this particular body and you are hashing over here. So now what you need to pass for this user? In the place of password, you can pass the hash password, correct? Whatever the password we have hashed, we can pass that one. So pass that. So now let's check whether our application, like only this much is enough. Okay, apart from this one, hashing is not going to take much more. It is just you need to write two lines. One is how many times you need to sort it. Okay, and one more is how to sort it. That's it. So if you pass it as a string, that user will be properly registered to your database. Okay, so now if you go to database and if you refresh it, you can see your password has been hashed now. Okay, now let's do the login. First, we can do the login. So login user. Same thing, your export statement will be always work in the same way. First will be like you will hear what you will be doing. You will be exporting entire function. Okay. So export login is equal to request response and next. Fine. So next. So const email request dot body. Okay, it's some error from TypeScript. Okay, it will go. Okay. Next, what you need to do? Try catch. For error, it will be same. Okay, don't worry about the errors. You copy the same thing and paste it over here. And in the message, give the message which you want. Login failed or something like that. Login failed. So let's check that one. So if you don't have user, okay, sorry, I need to write the user condition as well, correct? So let user is equal to paste it over here. So await from user model, you are going to find the email. So now if that particular user is not available, which means this email is not available, what you need to do, you need to send the response to user saying that email is not available. So please register yourself. Okay. So return response dot status 404 message user not found. User not found. Next. So if this particular condition is false, okay, like which means you find the user. Next, what you need to do? Once you find the user, you need to match the password. So const is password match. Password match. Math. TCH. Okay, so same thing. Await decrypt dot. Okay, access
Password.
password. Before we continue it, let's create a route now. So go to the authentication, record.js, to create a route over here. Okay, so if it is a post method, means what are the things you need to pass? You need to pass the body. In a body, we are passing it as a raw JSON format. The same thing you can follow. First parameter will be email. Email is test at gmail.com. Password is 1 2 3 4 5 6. So change it to post. Okay. Once you send it, okay, it's you are sending a request means it is in, like, it is not understanding what to do next, because we have not written anything over here, right? After you
Yes.
got a success, you have not written anything. That's why it is in pending state. So don't worry about that pending state. But if you come over here, so inside a user, okay, inside a user, you can see you are getting what are the things. You are getting user data over here, which means you are getting the ID,
Mhm.
email, password, name, phone number, and role. Correct.
Sir.
So now what you need to do, you need to compare here, like you are doing the compare action. Correct. So now you want to access the password from the database, user.password. Okay, that's correct. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write the if condition. If password is not matched, if your password doesn't match, what you need to do, you send the response. Okay. So return response dot, it is 400. So inside a JSON, you pass the message. Success is false. Message is invalid password. Invalid password. Save it. Okay. Now let's check the password is correct or wrong. So instead of 1 2 3, I will give it some random password. Okay, and I'll try to send it. So once you send the wrong password, you can see you are getting the output as invalid
Very
password,
much.
which means our password, like our bycrypt compare function is working fine. So first we will generate a token. So how to generate a token? Create one function, const token is equal to generate token. Okay. So this particular function is not available. So I'll create it at the top. Let's generate token. Okay.
Yes.
So what are the parameter this particular or what is the parameter this you generate token is going to take is, it is going to take the user details. The user over here as well. User. So where you are getting this user, you are getting over here, correct?
Yeah.
Await find one method, you are getting the user. The same
Yeah.
user you are going to pass it over here. So now come to the function. Okay, I forgot to install that package. I'll install it. npm I jwt token. Sorry, not jwt token, jsonf token. Pd blog, install it. Okay, so you install that one, correct? So come over here and you import that one. Import jwt from JSON web token. Next. So inside this particular generate token, you return jwt dot sign. Okay. First, I'll pass the ID user dot ID. Okay. So the ID is done. User dot role. Okay. So I think I have passed the role on. Like there is a role on ROLE. ROLE. Okay. So the next parameter. So once you click enter, you are going to generate certain tokens now.
Yeah.
You copy it and you need to enter inside a env now. So one comment, you will get a in env file. So jwt dot secret jwt secret key is equal to that key, what key you have in the, you enter that key now. Okay, so this is the third parameter which we require, and I'll uncomment env. Okay. So next you come over here, you pass the third parameter. So process dot env dot that particular secret. So give the property and write expires. I'll give it as 2D. Now your function creation has been done. Now what you need to do, once you logged in successfully, that is over here. Okay, so you are creating token now. So next what you need to do, you need to log in that particular user. So login user, login user, and here you write the, you give the comment token generation or generate token. So how login user will be done? Const password comma role comma rest is equal to user. So next what I'm going to do, I'm going to send that particular user to front end. So response dot status, so 200 dot JSON, success will be true, message will be login successful. And now you need to pass some more parameters. First one is you pass the token. What token you have been generated, that token you pass it so that you can store in front end. Next, you need to pass the data. So you pass the data as a rest. Okay, which means all the user details will be stored in this rest variable. So you pass that rest over here. Next, you pass the role as well. So now I'll go to over here, go to login and send it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and click on send. So once you send it, you can see we are getting all the data now. So now let's create a controller for getting all the users. What I'll do, I'll create a user controller over here. User controller nodejs. So same thing, first import user from user model. Models slash user schema node.js. Next, inside this one, what we are going to do, first action will be like first we will start with getting all the users details. Okay, so exports for export const function name, you can give it as anything. So get all users info, or I'll just give it as get all users. In this one, same, you will be creating a, okay. So next will be try catch block. Next I'll handle the error first. So response dot status code will be 404 because user not found. Success will be false. Success is false. And message will be no user found. So const user wait user dot find, insert this one like you just call it. Okay, status of 200 dot json. Insert this json, you send the message and what is the data you want to pass. Okay, so success is true. Success is true. Message will be users found successfully. And the last parameter will be like what you want to show. Okay, in our case, what we want to show, we want to show the data of users. Okay, I will mention it as users because we are getting multiple users over here. So I'll mention it as users. So now what I need to do, I have created a controller. The next step will be, so let's create a router. Yeah, so I got it. Next, you have imported. Next, what you need to do, you need to create a router. So router dot get. So inside this get method, you can give path. Path will be all users or something like that. All users. Next, you call the particular method what you have created here, right? Get all users. So you call this import user route from dot slash routes slash users. Okay, this one. This is not related to authentication. So you mention it as some other keyword like users or user, something like that. We will do now. We will check are we able to get all the users. Make it as user. Click on enter. Yeah. Once you click on enter, you can see we are getting all the users who are available in a database. Password as a ignoring field. Okay. So how to do that one? So come to your application, the controller. Select is going to select that particular input field provided from your schema. So find dot, after find you give the dot, right, select. Insert this select what you want to ignore. So in our case, we want to ignore password. So give minus after that password. Okay. So let's check whether this will also work fine or not. So your server is stopped. Yeah, server is started again. So go to all users and click set. Okay, so once you send it, you can see now we are getting only ID, email, name, phone, and roll. So we have successfully ignored the password. So now let's create delete user controller. Same thing, const. What I forgot. Let's go const. With the help of ID, we can delete that user. So how we can access the ID? Request.params.id. So console. So see. For error, you copy the same thing. Fed to delete. I'll register this route as well. So go to user route. Delete user. I've imported it over here, and here it will be just ID. Delete user slash ID. Okay, here you don't have user ID. Okay, so you copy the same thing. but status code will be 404. Okay, and user not found. Not found to delete. Await user dot. So if you want to delete something means, so we have a method. So find by ID
ID.
and delete.
Okay.
Next, same thing. You send the proper response. So response dot. We'll copy this one and I'll paste it over here. Fine. This is 200.
Status success. Yeah.
User deleted successfully.
Success true.
Yes, successfully, and success message will be true.
True. Yeah.
Okay, and we are getting this await error because we have not passed the async over here.
Async. Okay.
Okay, you pass the async, this await error will be like it will gone. Okay, so
Yes.
now let's check. So go to your this one, get all users, send this function so that I can take out the ID now. So if you pass it, you are getting the one user. What I'll do, I'll select the first user. That is, see the email ID, it is test3@gmail.com. Okay, I'm
Okay.
copying the user ID of the test3@gmail.com. So come to your path and in the route, you place this particular ID. So once you send it, you
Yeah.
can see
Success.
that success
Great.
is true and user deleted successfully. And now
Okay.
if you try to get all users, we are supposed to get one user. So you can see
We
we are
already
getting
get.
that one user. And let's check in database as well. To your database and refresh it. So here you can see we also have only one user.